every week I look at these, they're like 80 years worth of data of fundamentals and sentiment, and it's just keeps busting old records. We're way higher than the peak of the internet bubble in 2000, the peak before the financial crisis, you name it. It's lifetime highs by any metric. So having said that, let's jump in and catch up on the charts together. Here's the spider, which just like everything else is green. We pushed above this lifetime high last week, and we're just sort of marginally adding to that day after day. But as I said, of these 10 trading days here, this one little pipsqueak character was down just a little bitty bit. And that's it. On the whole, it's just blasting higher. EFA, this is basically equities outside of North America. This has closed its price gap, so we'll say sayonara to that. And we got well below this trend line. We're above it at the moment, but it's got a lot of overhead supply here. On the whole, US stocks have just completely outstripped everything else. It's like Japan back in 1989. In 1989, Japan could do no wrong. And they reached their ultimate peak, I think on December 31, 1989, something plus or minus a few hours from there, but I think that's right. I was looking at a ratio chart, for example, of the EFA divided by the diamonds, and it's just like a 3-level ski slope. It's unbelievable. So EFA is up, yes, but US is just so far ahead of everywhere else. One country in particular that I've been mentioning as a short idea is doing fantastically well. Brazil. We've talked about this a lot. We first spoke of this before the pattern was complete, and it finally completed last week. And last week was truncated, so I didn't even get a chance to talk about it. But this pattern completed. It's falling. I hope some of you, got bearish on it. And I think it's got plenty more to go. So it's a beauty. EWZ, Head and Shoulders finished up, and the big day was right there on the 27th, a big tumble. And we gapped down hard on Friday, I guess, during that very shortened session, and we're still hanging out down there. So EWZ, great success. There are some long-term bearish patterns which are doing very well, and some of these have had counter trend rallies that really reopen the opportunity for more bearish fun. Just in no particular order. Well, they are actually alphabetical, so that is an order. Archer Daniels Midland, you've seen this before, ADM. And what I'm talking about here is, yes, we fell, but we've pushed way back hard, but there's all that overhead supply now. So that should just about be it for the counter trend. Here's CAR, C-A-R, which completed this top. I've tinted, and it's broken down below that. Counter trend rally up to same overhead supply. Cracker Barrel, this has been going on for years. It's just like top, 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 each followed by a drop, and each drop followed by a strong counter trend push, which is what we're getting here. And these are no small things in percentage terms. I mean, this has gone from 36 to like 56. So these are like 60% bounces. But as you can see, it's kind of this waterfall effect, just scalloping its way down and way, way above still major support. 5-9, here's another interesting one. This is a very pretty top right there. And we fell quite hard, pushed all the way up, and now we've mashed right up against this price gap. So this is why I'm emphasizing the long-term nature of these. A couple more of this group. Humana, a little better known, easier to trade, HUM. And in this instance, we've got this long ascending channel, and this topped out over a very long period, 4-year period. This whole top right here slammed down, pushed right back up, and now it's starting to weaken again. So that's Humana. And finally, VTLE, Vital Energy. Of these, I'm probably the least enthusiastic about this, but it is a nice big top still, so I wouldn't include VTLE. Is pushing back up against this topping pattern like so. Now, I'm kind of a gap freak. I love those price gaps, and SMCI provides plenty of them. And this is a fascinating chart because let's just review this. SMCI meandered along for decades here. And between 2014 and 2022, it hammered out this very well-formed rounded bottom. And it broke free of that in the middle of 2022, which, as a reminder, was still very much in the throes of a bear market. In spite of that, it showed a lot of strength. And this was just a classic breakout. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, but each one higher lows and higher highs, and they got stretching each time more and more dramatically with the last drama, and it was a doozy early this year, going from 35 to way into the triple digits, just hundreds of percent in a very short amount of time, and then it was ushered in to the S&P 500. And after that, it began this incredible collapse, a lot of accusations, accounting scandals, pointing fingers, and the whole bit. And as it was collapsing, what I pointed out here and on Slope and on Twitter is that we were getting close to a major price gap. I didn't know how much it would count because they were talking very seriously about delisting it within days, like take it right out of the exchange. But the gap was the key, 16.79. We got down to 17.36 after having fallen. It basically lost almost all its market cap. And then went exploding higher in just a month's time, a couple of 100%. That's lovely. That's fine. It was a nice play, but check out what's happening now. Now they've been cleared of all wrongdoing, no scandals. The CFO's been kicked out, the whole shtick. But another gap right there. So just keep your eye on that. That could be an interesting little critter because this, I mean, scandal or no scandal, this is a lot of overhead supply. To my eyes, it would take years and years to even possibly push through that. That gap, as before, in the other direction, is key. So just saying, and it's heavily traded too. I've taken on a short position today in Axon, AXON. I just can't resist. That channel is just dynamite, and that is a very long-term channel. Nice tight stop on this, really just above Friday's high. So short Axon. Not touching this one, but it is kind of it's got the same impetus behind its push higher, but it's just not a very clean chart, so I'm not gonna be touching Geo Group. Intel, their CEO left. He is out of the company, and in what is always kind of an awkward moment, the stock rallied mightily. It'd be kind of a strange thing to read in the paper if you leave a company and that everyone celebrates. That didn't last very long, though. I guess people realized that, okay, well, he's gone, but that doesn't solve all the problems we've still got. So big old red bar right there. We're actually down on the day, in spite of, if you look at this morning's headlines, everyone was falling all over themselves with Intel's explosive rally and so forth. Very short-lived. You know, he can only leave once. Semis in general are very strong today. ARM is up almost 5%. Key resistance is right there where that shooting star was, like so, that dashed red line. And AMD also up about 3.5%. I'm holding on to my puts on this as long as it doesn't cross this trend line. That's the key. And the last chart we're going to look at, the SMH, with this kind of the same general idea with semiconductors. Novo Nordisk is up a couple of percent, and we've sealed the gap on this one. So this should be pretty much it. If it's not, I'll be out of this position, but this is at a nice counter trend rally, and we'll see if that puts an end to it. I would also mention, and this is a new one, Eli Lilly. I got some puts on this today. Here's this gap again, right over here, 809.95. That price gap is just about perfectly sealed. We've had a very hardy play on this. We've moved up about $100 in just a few days, but that gap, I think, is the key. This really just goes to show how ephemeral the moves in the market are. I saw Open Wall Street Bets, which I like to look at from time to time. It's kind of a cool pop culture place to see who's saying what about the, this week's hot stock. This one, which I'd never heard of in my life, Archer Aviation, this was what everybody was trading, and they were doing all their gain how should I put this, screenshots. But they're down 25%. It's a messy chart. I would never trade this in either direction myself, but you can just see how capricious this market is, because it undid about 3 days worth of gains in no time. So if you ever linger at a place like that, just take note. You might want to look at a chart before you do anything, because these are very dicey and speculative initiatives that are going on. Tesla is having another great day. I think Tesla's got a terrific future ahead. It's had a great year. Well, actually starting in April. Until April, it was the worst performing stock in the entire S&P 500. Now it's just setting the world on fire. But we're at a new multi-year high on this. It has been higher back here, but certainly over the past couple of years, this is a new peak for it. In sharp contrast to this is Rivian, which, as with Intel, just got billions and billions of dollars dumped on their heads by the U.S. government. I read that Rivian is losing over $100,000 per vehicle they sell now. So, like the old joke, maybe they'll make it up in volume, but Rivian is just bleeding money. So the U.S. government, which is good at that kind of thing, had said, here's $6 billion. So they are down in spite of the largesse from the taxpayers. Guild, that is to say, gold, GLD, is sinking. I think it's vulnerable, easily vulnerable, down back to the supporting level of that channel. So I'm staying far away from that. In turn, miners are falling hard, over 2%. And here too, I think they could easily slip down even back below that green trend line. On Friday, I got puts on XOP. I'll back up again. This pink zone here, I see as a nice topping pattern in formation. So I went ahead and I got puts on Friday. So far, so good. XOP is down over 1% today. And I've, ratcheted down that stop real tight just to today's high. So just to close up with a couple of tech items, because the Nasdaq's having a very good day. The cubes are at a new record high. The cube up over 1%. You can see here they've sneaked above the former lifetime high. We'll see if it closes at a lifetime high or not, but it looks almost certain. But on an intraday basis, it's already done the deed. We're above 1111. And the key, I think, as to what's next is what happens with semiconductors. SMH is having a good day, but keep an eye on this trend line. It broke the trend line weeks ago. It's been below it ever since. If it can't muster enough strength to get above it, and even worse, if it weakens away and stays within the confines of this pattern, this is just a counter trend bounce, and a very hardy one too. But that trend line is key. If this starts to turn south, then I think the cubes will just follow right along.